Hattori.
Hattori.
Hattori and the
So sorry, Hattori.
Hattori.
I wasn't looking at the chat. Hey, it sounds fine to me, man. I check your speakers.
It could just be my voice too. I was kind of
Were
speaking
you a
like
little
this,
low?
and yeah, I was a little
You
low.
you
I got to
sound,
catch myself sometimes, you know.
bro. You sound good to me though
Mm,
on the phone
that sound
end.
like I could read a romance novel.
Yeah, all I can really go off is my stuff. You know what I mean? That's all
Yeah,
we
I know
can
what
do
you mean.
here. It's all we can do here.
Well, I
Um.
have breaking news for you.
Oh,
You ready for
please.
this?
Yes, absolutely.
Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow is possibly gone in the new Pirates of the Caribbean 6. It's going to move forward with the all female led cast.
Oh, so it's gonna bomb.
Yeah, so it's going to, yeah.
D-
And the story arc for all of them is
DOA.
going to be they're going to lose their memory. And in order to unlock their potential, they're going to have to recover it plot point by plot point. And then once they unlock their memory, they'll unlock their true identity of being a super strong female character.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Uh, I yeah.
So funny because people will hear that and think that, oh, you don't like strong female characters, or the other end of that, they'll start bashing on stuff that on movies and TV shows that are good that are female led with actual strong female characters, for lack of a better word, such as Arcane. But
Yeah.
uh, and people just some people don't understand the nuance to the conversation.
Oh, okay. So I won't. Okay, I'll just say it, but we'll have it as a you'll have to listen to the review for Argylle, but the writer for this, excuse me, was also a writer on It Chapter 2, which is not very good, and Wonder Woman. The writer
For Argyle,
has credits for both of those.
ooh,
Um,
sorry, I need to pull up the
wait,
Argyle
actor.
IMDb.
Where's his writer credits? I don't care about his actor credits. I want his writer
I
credits.
was looking at Matthew Vaughn.
Well, Matthew Vaughn's a different story. I'll defend him a little bit, but not
What's the
a
first Wonder
bunch.
Woman? It's not the second one.
Yeah, but that movie sucks too. Uh,
For I was about to say for Disney, for DC, it wasn't that bad. But I
I
mean, I remember at the time everybody was saying how that was an A+ movie. I
oh,
was like,
it's
I mean,
definitely not.
I
No,
was I was like
it's
maybe B+ at the most.
her.
I thought it was around C territory.
She's like morally reprehensible in that because they were like, let's do a World War I era set movie, and then the Germans are still the bad guys without any historical context to how World War I worked.
Oh yeah,
It's ridiculous, and I think a lot of people just didn't consider it because yeah, I mean, there's like visually, there's like, and this is the thing is that it's not well. Some of the visuals, the third act is the stupid superhero thing where it just becomes like a big like a big action fest again.
yes.
It's like CGI action like garbage, where you're like, huh, okay, here we go again. And I think at the time, especially, like everybody was just really distracted by the way that Gal Gadot looks.
Yeah, people were saying that they thought that she
And
had that Wonder Woman look, and I didn't. I didn't
uh,
agree with that.
she's all right. It's her acting.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? She's not a very good actress. But her and Chris Pine do have chemistry in that movie. There are things to praise about the first Wonder Woman movie, unlike the second one. But there's a lot of writing problems with it. Also, this guy that wrote this has only written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, 7 other movies. Wonder Woman being the most notable, and then he wrote Pan from 2015, which I think I've seen.
Oh yeah, I had to look at the writing stuff, not the acting stuff. Okay.
But yeah,
I mean, he
interesting.
did write Ice Age, Continental Drift too. So
Yeah, for whatever that's worth to anybody. That I don't think I've ever gone past the first Ice Age movie.
Oh, he's writing the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy pre-production. Right, it's in pre-production right now.
Oh, the TV
Yeah,
series.
yeah, the
Well,
TV series.
we'll see if what that's like. He may not be the only one person writing.
No,
Typically with TV, you have more than one individual, but you can tell a lot. I've learned you can tell a lot about the direction that a show is going to go based on the writers on staff.
yep.
Or a movie based on previous work. There's a lot that goes into the writing because, and I don't know. I mean, like we're practically getting into it, but with Argylle, Matthew Vaughn was the thing that made me think I'll give this movie a chance
Same.
because I like
Matthew Vaughn.
a lot
Go ahead,
of
I'm
his
sorry.
work. Yeah.
Matthew Vaughn and Henry Cavill for me.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, it seems like Henry Cavill, because even from the trailers, I would tell you that I think maybe Henry Cavill's going to be taking kind of a back seat in this.
Oh, you picked up on that?
Oh, from the trailer, absolutely. Yeah. I was like, I don't, and dude, after what? How many, dude? Now I'll say I don't think, because a lot of people, and I say a lot of people, the few people that I've kind of listened to some commentary about this, they've said that it's like, oh, it's like such a massive bait and switch. It's like the biggest one I've ever seen or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true. I mean, like it's
a bit hyperbolic.
Yeah, it's up there. I don't think it's a good thing the way that they. I mean, like you can look, if you guys are watching this, you can look at the thumbnail that I put together, and Henry Cavill's front and center. And the two main characters are like 3 rows back.
Yeah.
The people you spend the most amount of time with in the movie. So clearly they knew what was the draw, and yet that wasn't the centerpiece of the movie at all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's an important point because people have to realize everything they do is intentional. They're typically not just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. So putting Henry Cavill front and center was purposeful.
Yeah.
I mean, he is peppered throughout the movie, but he's peppered in moments, and it probably adds up to 10, maybe 15 minutes max of screen time for Henry Cavill. So for me, I think I only saw the first trailer. I try not to, when it comes to trailers, I don't want to see too many of them because I think they end up spoiling a lot of the information contained within the movie.
Yeah.
So I try to err on the side of being surprised. So I saw the first trailer.
I like to do that. The Argylle trailer, though, it played in everything that I saw, and every time I was at the theater, I'm pretty sure I saw that trailer.
Mm. So with Henry, I wasn't really expecting him to not be in it. And so it was a bit surprising and caught me off guard.
Yes.
How little he was in the movie.
Yes.
And then, but the same's kind of true for Samuel L. Jackson as well. How his character is kind of irrelevant for me. I mean, not just his character, but his screen time. He's there
spy
to say,
guy.
He's just there for them to say, "Hey, Samuel L. Jackson's in my movie."
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, great for him for getting his easy bag.
He and Matthew Vaughn have a history because he was in the first Kingsman movie, and he's great in the first Kingsman movie. And so there is that connection there. And then the girl that plays Gazelle in the first Kingsman, she's the broker or the secret keeper or whatever the heck her name is in this. You know what I'm talking about? When they go to that Middle Eastern country and she reveals herself, that she's Gazelle, the girl with the sword legs from. You know who else that is too, right?
Who?
It's the Scar Giver from. The Zack Snyder movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Rebellious Moon.
Oh man, that's too good.
Nick Fury cameo. Yeah. Well, hello to the trolls in the troll room. Hello to Jake and to Tori. Thank you guys for showing up, and I'm sure there are others of you out there lurking, or you'll be here at some point. So thank you all for showing up. And yes, we are going to continue our conversation about Argylle, but I figured we would stop for a second and just thank you all, and welcome to episode 161 of The Underground. Sorry that we missed last week. I've had an insane amount of stuff going on, and I started losing my voice on Monday, and I had told Joseph that Monday morning, I was like, hey, I've got like a ton going on this week. I was like, I think we just need to push off a week, so that I, actually have time to get everything done, and I'm not like stressing to upload and put the podcast out this week. And then I lost my voice like a couple hours later. It was miserable. I said, the like old smoker lady that's like, oh, hello everyone. It's like that's what I sounded like for 3 days.
Same, man.
So thank you guys for your patience with all of that. I know it sucks when we miss a week, but yeah, I mean you can still kind of hear it. Like if I talk too long, I start to get like an itch in my throat, and then the coughing happens. So most of it was just that and sinus. I didn't really physically feel all that bad most of the week. So whatever it was weird. But we're here, and Joseph,
live.
yeah, you're doing well. Everything's good on your end.
Yeah, man, and we have an associate executive producer for this episode, who is Jenna. So when Jenna gets here, we can thank Jenna more directly. But Jenna is the associate executive producer for this episode because I checked in with Jenna this past week, and Jenna met the criteria. So want a special shout out to Jenna.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, our first one.
Yeah, I'm not muted, right? You can hear me.
yeah,
I'm muted. Hear you. I muted for a second because I had to cough, so I'm going to try to do that so I don't mess up the audio too much.
Yeah, man. So for those who don't know, we utilize a value for value system here, which means you can donate to our podcast via your time, talent, and treasure. Time and talent, just basically meaning any type of skill you have, or it could even be research. If you want to send us anything that you think would be valuable to us, you can donate with your time and talent. And I know that Woopa Troopa, for example, he's done YouTube thumbnails for us, and other people have done various different things to help us, what's right to say, grow our brand, if you want to call it that. I'm trying to figure out a different way to say it, but that's what's coming to my mind right now. And then, yeah, I hate saying grow our brand, but I just can't think of anything else right now.
The show, it's the show. Everything centers around the show and our producers, and I think that is. I was watching EFAP video. They were talking about some Bethesda Studios stuff, which I was finding really interesting. And there's this acronym that I'd never heard the acronym. I think it's an acronym, but it's KISS. It's like Keep It Simple, Stupid. And I know I've heard people use Keep It Simple, Stupid. I've used it in some cases too because we all at times have a tendency to overcomplicate things. Yep. So it's one of those things that's like we have the show, we have producers. That's how it runs.
Yep.
It's like without whether it's time, like you're going to talk about if we don't have the time, talent, and treasure aspect of that, this doesn't really work. We would have quit a long time ago if that was the case.
Exactly.
So,
and
yeah.
It's a great way for us all to be involved together, to where you know that you're an integral process as our producers to the show. And so you can donate via your time, talent, and treasure, obviously, meaning if you want to donate to us any US dollars, or if you want to convert your native currency to USD and donate to us like that, or if you want to donate to us Bitcoin. Eventually we'll get that wallet set up, I promise. Just let us know. Just send us
Yes.
An email or a message on Discord if you're on Discord community, which you can join, by the way. But yes, if you are interested in becoming a producer or an associate executive producer like Jenna, or an executive producer, if you donate any amount of money, you're automatically considered a producer for the corresponding episode. If you donate $100 or more, whether if it's one time or lump sum, or that is lump sum. If it's cumulative or lump sum, you're associate executive producer for the following episode, and then $200 or more, you're executive producer of the following episode. So we appreciate all of our producers and our associate executive producer of this episode, Jenna.
Awesome. Well, back to the Argylle conversation. Where were we?
Hey, good smooth transition.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. Going back to, I was looking at Matthew Vaughn a little bit, and
oh yeah, we were talking about Matthew Vaughn and his. We were talking about him, and then we were talking about how Henry Cavill's front and center, and then Samuel L. Jackson's like second in line. Dua Lipa's second in the line, and then you have Rockwell. That's his
I
name, Rockwell. Rockwell.
Rockwell, yeah, Sam
Yeah,
Rockwell.
Rockwell. And then you have, oh, why am I blanking right now on her name?
It's funny.
She plays Ellie.
Yes,
Oh,
it's hang on.
Bryce Dallas
Bryce
Howard.
Dallas
That's her
Howard.
name. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're the main characters.
Yeah, and they're behind everybody. They're behind the three quote unquote leads, right? So it's very
Right.
misleading for sure. And that wasn't really the point either. I just don't think it's like at this point. I don't think it's as misleading as the Scott Pilgrim, remake, where they were like, "Hey, we're remaking this like comic that is beloved by a lot of people," and then he dies in the first episode, and it's all this like weird, like alternate story about Ramona, and it's just like, this sucks. Like, it's like, this is infuriating. It's like, at least Argylle isn't a known product,
Right.
It doesn't fall as hard for me, and it's one of those things that's like, Matthew Vaughn's had a few movies that I didn't like. I didn't like the second Kingsman movie, and I didn't like Argylle, and I haven't seen X-Men First Class in a while, but I don't feel like I hated that movie. But he's done some good stuff. Like, he's a solid director, and he does really, really and I'm getting most of what I'm saying now is the stuff that I would still semi agree with about Argylle. Like, he's a competent director. It's obvious he's a competent director. He's got an interesting style, but this movie is just all over the place.
Yeah,
and
it's all over the place.
It's contrived in a lot of ways that are just like, and like really stupid stuff. Like, again, it's this thing where stuff and people, like incidences that happen, and then like decisions that people make, they're automatically a little bit dumber because the story needs certain things to continue to happen. So it's like there's a scene, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say Go ahead. No, you first. You're going to interrupt me. Go ahead.
So, with the point that you made, did you think that they were trying to be in your face, on the nose with it purposefully to make this more of a satire, espionage, action thriller with a rom-com twist type movie? So, it's satire through and through? Or did you think he was trying to make a grounded action thriller?
Well, bruh,
and just
I thought
the writing was bad.
I thought we were gonna get an entertaining. So the way that it's set up, I was fine with. Right? Maybe maybe the train. After the train is when things really start literally going off the rails in places. Yeah. The setup's fine. I think there's a lot of really interesting creative stuff. There's like the part where she's writing the one of her like new book. She's trying to finish it, and she has the scene out on the balcony with Henry Cavill and that woman, and it's like rewinding. Like, there's all these kind of neat tricks that they're doing, and I was like, and this is all within maybe the first 20 minutes of the movie or so. Yeah. And so that's your time frame to set up, this is what we're doing. But it's a completely different movie by the time it ends. And not in like that was kind of a fun, unique spin. It was like, what? Like, what is happening? Sorry, go ahead.
It seemed like they didn't know what they wanted this movie to be. That there was
a lot of ideas, but I've heard a couple people say that they felt like it was a first draft. Like, they just and that's kind of what happens is like, hey, what if we did this? What if we did this? So you have all these ideas, but you don't start, because the movie's like what, almost 2.5 hours long. Yeah, it's long. It's 2
hours
long.
And 20 minutes long.
Pacing. Listen, I'm gonna keep like trying to drive this home. Pacing in your movie, in your story, whatever you are making, is very, very important. It's borderline when it comes to like filmmaking in particular. If your pacing is off, a lot of the other stuff really doesn't matter, because you will lose people if you don't. If you're trying, like with this, right? This is a pretty snappy movie. It's a lot of like over the top action, lots of crazy stuff going on, and then and we've said this with other action movies in the past, if you just like let that die off for like half an hour and there's nothing there to really elevate those parts of it, you're going to be in trouble. And that's kind of the problem with this, is that there's a lot of really stupid action, but
the action, the fight choreography felt stale to me. But go ahead, continue.
I get that. I think it gets worse as the movie goes on too. And there's a couple there's some like forgivable stuff like in the opening scene with Henry Cavill, because when you kind of realize she's making this like schlocky spy thriller, all of the kind of fantastical elements of that, you're like, okay, I get what they're doing here. Like I'm not as worried about the logistics of what she's writing in her book, because they're trying to up it into this like sort of fantasy setting that she's writing in there.
Right.
But there's a lot of really stupid stuff that happens in the fights, and then the further it goes, the worse it was really funny, because I sent you a message was like, well, that movie jumped the shark, and you were like, dude, that movie jumped multiple sharks. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. It just does some, man. I mean, like, we'll get to it, because at the very least
From
we
the
have
start, man.
At the very least we have to talk about the like, I guess you would consider the last major action scene in the movie, you know, like not the fight on the boat, but the one that happens like right before that, because that was just, it was too much. It wasn't earned. It was unbelievably stupid, and it was just like, I can't. And I don't know, man. Like, if there had been a weird twist with this, where like things from her imagination in her book were like coming to, honestly, it probably would have been better if it was like the one twist instead of the 60 million that were in it was like, oh, it turns out that, and let it just be magical, like, you know, flumpy stuff, right? Where it's like, oh, for some reason that doesn't need to be explained, my characters are coming to life that I've written. And then if that also means that, like, you know, regular physics goes out the window a little bit too, you might be able to pull that off. The problem is that like the stuff that happens at the end, a lot of the action, it's just not earned.
Yeah.
They don't earn what they did. And it's just like someone had an idea to do that, and everyone was like, yeah, that seems really cool. And it just, no one even thought about the potential reaction to it. It's just too much. It's too much.
This movie seemed like how Disney movies are structured, to where they're structured about scenes instead of stories.
Yeah,
So
I could
it's
see
like,
that.
I want this scene, and this scene would be funny.
Well,
This scene would be cool. This and this. Now let's create a story to get there.
yeah.
And
There's
my biggest critique of the movie is it just felt like I was in a computer studio watching too much with the CGI. The CGI,
yeah,
just
the green
seemed-
screens and
yeah, just
the
getting worse, man.
the
It just
CG
seemed-
cat. Though that cat is real. If you like, not always,
you
but
couldn't tell.
it is a real cat, because I've seen some of the behind the scenes stuff. Just, you know, scrolling through the internet and videos pop
Right.
up, and I was like, oh, okay, so like that's actually Matthew Vaughn's cat.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I went into this movie fully wanting to enjoy it.
Same.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm
this
with you.
is, you know, I enjoyed the trailer. I thought the trailer was awesome. And I was like, hey, this, you know, I'm hoping this is going to be a good movie. And so I was disappointed when I came out, you know, especially when you look at the cast. I enjoy Henry Cavill, Samuel Jackson, Sam Rockwell, and Bryan Cranston. You know, Bryce Dallas Howard, she's fine too. But
she's all right. She doesn't do anything for me, and she was the wrong. I think it was a bad
it's a
casting.
miscast.
I think it was
Yeah.
miscast for her. Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa does the femme fatale thing really well, but like with the kind of action that they require Bryce Dallas Howard to do in this movie, she was miscast.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
She didn't seem like the
There's no
espionage spy femme fatale.
and there's no way she would have been able to pull off some of those roundhouse kicks. It's like it's just unbelievable. It's not believable. And like we haven't even I'm trying not to talk about the specific thing yet, because that gets outside the realm of reality multiple in like multiple layers. Like just the physicality of what was needed for her to do for about half the movie. It isn't believable.
No, not with her. It would be more, it'd be more believable with Gina Carano. I kind of thought that she would have been the perfect cast for that role, considering.
Can I be honest though? They needed
Yeah.
somebody. They needed somebody softer,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
I like Gina. She's better at. She's got that hardened, like, vet sort of thing to her. You know, Gina can play the characters like she's seen some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of where she falls. Like, I'd have to think about it, and I don't know anybody off the top of my head. But you need someone a little bit softer, but that when they throw a roundhouse kick, you're like, okay, I believe that. Even if it's like, I don't know if you'd really be able to take that guy, but I do believe that you can actually do the things you're doing.
Right. Holly Holm would be perfect for that. Not that you know that reference.
I know who she is. I know who she is. Are you kidding?
Oh, okay.
Come on, man.
I didn't.
Come on. Everybody knows that fight. I've watched that video quite a few times because it's impressive.
She can throw around.
She can throw a roundhouse kick. Yes, she can. So yeah, I just
too many obnoxious twists for me.
Oh
it's
my
like,
gosh, dude!
Well, and so we're gonna get into spoiler. I'm not gonna do any direct spoilers. It's just gonna be like, oh, this is the father. Oh, this is the mother.
Yeah,
or isn't I should say? And now this person's back, and now this person's back, and
So that was fine. It's not that there are twists in it, right? Like we never want to get to a place where we're just like, oh, it sucks because twists. It's like no. And so like when that reveal happens, you go because I'm looking at it right now. It's about halfway through the movie. This movie's actually only about 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's still long. It feels long.
It felt like 4 hours.
It could have used 15-20 minute cut. I think.
I thought I was watching Zack Snyder Justice League movie. That's how long it was.
But yeah, it's about halfway through the movie, and you're like, oh, okay, and it's like, all right, well, where is this going? Because I guess up until this point, like, it's not great, but it's still in kind of dumb schlock territory for me.
Right.
I'm not like physically angry at the movie. Like, this isn't Rebel Moon. Like, we're not talking about Rebel Moon. We're not talking about Silent Night.
No, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Let's be clear. It's not Glass Onion.
It's not Glass Onion. Though to be honest, though, there's some stuff in it. But the thing is it's the second for me. Because I'm kind of scrolling through this a little bit. It's really the second half that is where the sharks start getting jumped continuously.
Towards the end of the second act into the beginning of the third act.
Yes, it's after. It's literally actually the first time I went. I really went. Hang on. Was in the scene with the parents. So, like, we can go ahead and we'll do. I'm going to say spoilers now. I don't think we've really given a whole lot away, but I'm going to say spoilers now because I have to talk about this because it's the logic. It doesn't make any sense.
It's hard not to talk about the movie.
Also, hello.
In the context of the big criticisms without spoiling it. Go ahead.
Hi, Jenna. Hello, Whoopa. It's good to see you guys. And David Francisco. So we find out that her parents aren't actually her parents and that they're like head honcho-ish type people in this secret organization that's been like hunting her. And that's that's like twist 1, I think. There might have been one before that, but I think that's the first major twist. And you go, all right, cool. Well, Sam Rockwell shows up because he's been defending her through most of the movie, and he ends up shooting her fake mom and knocking out Bryan Cranston, who's like ends up being her fake dad, who's supposed to be the leader of this organization.
Are you there?
R.I.P. Hang on.
Hey,
hello.
I can hear you now. We're back.
Okay.
We're back.
Yeah. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Jenna and Whoopa show up in the stream, just decides to die on me.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Bryan Cranston turns out to be like the head of this organization, and they kill the fake mom, and then Sam Rockwell knocks out Bryan Cranston and leaves him there. And I go, why didn't he kill him?
Yeah, because Bryan Cranston leads
You
the directorate or the
yeah.
division or whatever they're called. Which
You would have, first of all, and it's so really stupid because Bryan Cranston says it in a couple scenes later where he's like, I put myself out there, and it's like you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
you don't do that. That's not how that works. You send the mom and say, oh, sorry, your father is under the weather or whatever, and you keep that a mystery for another 45 minutes till closer to the end of the movie. And then you don't have 6,000 other twists.
Yeah, and you're right. The problem isn't the twists. Twists are fine. It's just that the last second half of Act 2, and then, or towards the end of Act 2, and then all the third act is just essentially centered around twists. It's like twist, twist, and that's where it becomes more obnoxious to where it's like, okay,
yeah,
are they trying to be satirical here? Because I thought that in the beginning, and then I was really thinking that towards the end of the movie as well. However, when I looked it up on IMDb to check to see what they classified themselves as, or at least what it got classified as, action and thriller. So it's not a satirical.
Yeah, it's
an
action rom-com movie. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, I guess thriller is such like a canopy term to some degree, you know.
And I don't mind the concepts that they have, even making it a rom-com. It's just that even Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rothwell's connection. Ellie is who Bryce plays, and then Aiden is who Sam plays. Nothing feels earned from their connection towards the end of Act 3 to, taking down the division or whatever they're called, directorate, to just everything about the movie. Nothing, the payoffs in the end don't hold any weight because, again, it's not earned. It's just kind of schlocky. As you were saying earlier, like it was a first draft.
Yeah, it kind of feels it is messy. It's not even that it feels messy. Like it's kind of a messy script.
And then I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Now, what movie does Ellie, I should say.
Yeah.
What movie does this sound like? So her character arc to me, I was thinking about it today.
Yeah.
So she has to unlock her potential by recovering her memories, right? And then once she unlocks her memory, she unlocks her true identity. And her true identity is just that she's always been this strong, capable, amazing spy and woman. Now, what arc does that... I'm saying that arc term very liberal here. What movie does that sound like to you from Marvel?
Echo?
No. Captain Marvel.
Oh, that was my other choice. Echo kind of works too, though.
Yeah.
Maybe
that does work as
Captain
well.
Marvel,
But
yeah.
Captain Marvel, she lost her memories in the first one. So.
Oh, that's right. It is. Wow. Yikes.
Because I saw the movie last night, and I was thinking about it. I was like, I think like Captain Marvel. Let me go review Captain Marvel again. And again, it's those connection points. She builds her memory, and as she recovers her memory, she's unlocking her true identity.
Yeah. Well, the whole
it's
like
not that I
becoming
think that idea is bad. It's just that there's nothing else more appealing about it.
Yeah, it's boring.
And Bryce Dallas Howard doesn't fit the role.
It's as overdone as Batman's Dead.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of it, dude.
No, David,
you know
it's as overdone as a sympathetic villain is.
Yeah, right. It's as overdone as Harley Quinn being interesting. Got him. Yeah, I guess I don't. Can we just talk about the biggest jumped shark?
Yes, please.
So.
Please. Spoilers again, everybody.
There is, the movie kind of progresses to sort of your final big shootout, and I wish that they had done the first part of that practically, because I think the concept is really cool, like with all the colored smoke.
Mm-hmm.
I needed that to be more, I'll just say more grounded. Because for some reason, it's like they have all the smoke grenades, and for some reason they're all different colors, which, like, I'm sure someone could tell me that actually is real and has a representation, blah, blah, blah. It's fine. It's not really the problem. I'm fine with them having different colors regardless, because I like the kind of like presentation of it. But they put on these like gas masks, and for reasons, the gas masks have like heat vision in them, even though they just kind of look like regular gas masks. Like, that's not really how that works. And again, like, this movie isn't giving you any idea that the world that Ellie and Aiden inhabit isn't anything other than like real life. Even though allegedly this is, and it's another spoiler, but allegedly this is connected to Kingsman.
Yeah.
Though I don't think that really forgives a lot of stuff in this, because this goes far over the top compared to what Kingsman did.
It's too much.
It's like Kingsman still got believability in what they did with their world building. It doesn't take it to the levels that this does. So they do that whole fight, and I'm like, this is good enough. I also think the movie probably should have been rated R. I think when Vaughn does these kind of like action flicks, ramping up the violence, it just works in his favor because of his like shooting style. I mean, like you saw a lot of what he was doing with it. That scene, everything that he does in the fights in this kind of feels underwhelming. And part of it is because of the impact of the way that he shoots fights. Doesn't come through as well.
It's too cartoonish. Yeah,
it's too clean.
Yeah,
it's too clean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the cinematography doesn't. What's the term called? Like dirtying up the camera, right?
Well,
it doesn't. It doesn't have that aspect to it. And then with Matthew Vaughn, I've kind of more so have always seen him. I don't know if you would agree with this, as more unserious. I don't mean this as an insult. I mean this as a compliment too. That he's more of a cartoonish director.
Well,
if that makes sense.
His movie. He does this thing where he takes really take like Kick-Ass. Mm-hmm. Kick-Ass is a pretty gritty film, but it's also cartoonish because of its source material.
Right.
So it's like it's balanced pretty well. Not the second one, but I don't think he was involved in the second one. The second one sucks. But
well, he was just a producer on it, but that could mean all sorts.
Yeah, it's like that could mean also he put some money towards it or whatever. Or like someone had an idea for it. He was like, sure, I'll whatever. Being a producer on something really doesn't mean much to me. But even something like Kingsman. All three of the Kingsman movies, they have some silliness to them, but it's something that like the movie is still taking itself seriously.
Yep.
And you're right. I think that's missing from this. I think I'm not so worried about like the dirtiness, like his look. I mean, like you go back and watch a lot of his stuff. He has a somewhat clean style to his filmmaking. And this is no different. And I think visually, like I had said before, I'm fine with most of it. I don't know, like you look at some of what he does with the sets, you can tell that a lot of care was put into specific parts of this movie. There's a lot of like when she's doing her reading at the beginning, mm-hmm. And all of the stuff that was like very much designed. This whole like Argylle thing is very well thought out as far as like these little visual pieces on the sets, and then like her desk, and like if you look at the front, it's got her different books, and they're all in the diamond shapes, going across like the Argylle pattern, I guess. There's a lot of that little like detail that's again, it's worth mentioning. It doesn't really enhance a movie that's already not very good, but it is there. And I think the biggest problem with this is that he succeeds in that realm of like he needed to ramp up the type of movie this was, the problem is that he was trying. What it seemed like is that he was trying to make a Kingsman movie that women might go see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
that's a good way to put it.
it kind of, if that's the case, and if the choice to tone down the violence, to tone down the rest of the content, for lack of a better way of putting it, like language, whatever, like if that was in order to try to bring in sort of the rom-com audience, it seems like it was a really big misstep.
Yeah, no, I agree. If that was the case, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a disappointing movie.
Yeah, I'm really upset by that. And then, of course, we have to talk about the thing. So, like, they go through that one fight, which it's not great. A little too, like, there's some cringy stuff in it, like the whole twisty thing, where they reverse roles.
Yes.
You're like, all right. Like, I think if I had
the whole Winter Soldier, is that what you're referring to? The Winter Soldier aspect to it, to where
No. I'm talking about the fight when they're in the fight and she picks him up in the middle of the thing. Not the sleeper agent thing. Like, that's twist 5 of 30 or whatever. But
at that point, I was just laughing.
Yeah,
I was like, of course.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, it's stupid, but I was like, whatever. And then they go into this room, and I don't know, maybe the movie did set this up and I just missed it, but I guess there's like a Middle East component to the movie, so maybe that does have something to do with it. But they go into this room, and all of these everyone's shooting. And all this crude oil starts coming out of pipes because they've got bullet holes in them. And everyone goes, no, we have to stop. We're going to ignite the crude oil. And I'm sitting there going like, you've already shot up the pipes. And so you're like, okay, that's weird, but whatever.
And crude oil doesn't catch on fire in the same way that gasoline does.
Yeah, and I guess
that's the one thing that people don't realize.
Yeah, and also, like, I think it's already been put out in the world that, like, you can't just shoot a can of gas and make it explode.
Yeah.
Am I wrong about that? I'm pretty sure that is the case. If I'm
don't-
wrong, email Joseph about it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
I would say that would if you shot a can of gasoline.
It would have to spark right though, because it's not the the bullet, it's the spark that would cause the ignition.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, so
like
all of that being said,
propane's different from tank, but if gas was in a metal container and you shot it, then yeah, if it's plastic, if it doesn't produce a spark, then yeah, it's not going to ignite.
And then there was a thing that was mentioned earlier on where Ellie's character liked to ice skate, and she is now asking, like, was that real? And she puts knives, and I guess it was, yeah. Like, Sam Rockwell's character's like, yes, you actually were a pretty good ice skater. Well, he underplayed it because she's literally a superhuman ice skater. She puts knives on her feet, and somehow, dude, this scene is, I'm saying this now because it's just coming to mind as just like a comparison. This scene is on stupid levels of people surviving the volcanic explosion in Rings of Power.
Yeah.
I think logically that's where these are comparable to me.
Right.
And she starts ice skating around on crude oil with knives on her feet. And she picks up a gun with a bayonet on it and starts, like, cutting down all these dudes. And is just ice skating around somehow on crude oil because this has to make sense for some reason. And then they ignore what was said 5 minutes earlier, and she just starts mowing them all down as she spins in a circle doing the move that all the ice skaters do. The spin move.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, so I guess they could have just shot them. Clearly it wasn't a big deal.
It's hard to say which part of the movie was the worst, because I also thought that when she shot Sam in the heart,
that's the glass onion moment. That's the glass onion moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because it went 2 inches in this direction, I had read earlier because this person had emailed me, and then
Sorry,
I
guys.
just had to make sure I plugged the hole. And while nobody was looking, I did the napkin in your chest, and that's why you survived.
Yeah, he had a hole on the other side though, right? And also, I don't think that would work that way. And not only did that happen, but he continues to fight afterwards. It's not like he's knocked out of the fight or whatever, and someone's going to get him medical attention. You know what I mean? I'm just, I guess in this kind of stuff, like, yeah, it's bad, dude.
The best point is that there's a second hole in his back, because it had to. In order for it to work, it would have to go clean through. Otherwise, if it stopped in his heart, he would die.
And
so,
statistically, that cannot be something that like. And this is where you go into like they turn her into superhuman level of like she's like super soldier, like out of this world good at everything, you know? And it's just so lame, dude, because it doesn't follow what you really are supposed to do with this, where it's like she learns to be like more self-confident. And we could talk about the twist where she's really like this CIA special agent or whatever, but they're all talking about it as if she is the best thing, you know, like she's the second coming, basically. And this is what always happens in these movies, is that they jump the shark with this stuff, where it's like you constantly are taking it too far. Like you're going outside the realm of believability. Like, quit it. Like, please give us like flawed character, because she is actually a flawed character up until this moment. The problem is that the minute she like you've kind of saying, like she finds her true self or whatever, she just becomes the best thing ever. And all of the rest of that stuff gets thrown out the window. And there's not, like...
And her lead up to it doesn't feel earned.
It doesn't, because there's not the growth of, like, overcoming much of anything. Yeah. The only thing that she overcomes is her memory loss, and then she becomes the thing that she always was, basically.
Is it to give an idea, it's like the first Batman game, if I remember correctly, in the Arkham series.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, the first time you start playing as him, you have basically everything's maxed out, all the gear, correct?
That's a trope of like that kind of game, but I don't remember. Jake's played it recently, so Jake could tell us.
It's one of those games, but I'll just say it more like this. Sometimes in games, you'll start off and your very first mission, or to kind of do the tutorial, you're maxed out, you have all the gear and everything like that, and then some event happens, and you lose everything, and you have to work your way all the way back to get to that point.
Hey, I'll give you one. Samus, strong female character. That's like the trope in the Metroid games, is that you start the game out with like all of your maxed out gear, and then something happens and you lose everything, and you have to slowly work up to overcoming the big obstacle again at the end with your new upgraded stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And they could have easily done that with her, and it just fell through. There's nothing wrong with that idea.
Yeah, slowly her memories are unlocked and she learns to do stuff again. But you just can't. You can't end with ice skating on crude oil and beating all the bad guys. Like, you just can't do that. And then
and then also the secret soldier thing.
Yeah, and then like the weird like that little like MK Ultra music box, ballerina box or whatever. They just like leave that till the very end. Like when that happened, I was like, what? It just like it completely threw me off, because I was like, oh, we're adding one more thing to this. Like, do we really? Yeah. It's just too much. Like, if you go back and you watch like the first Kingsman movie, like the pacing in that is spectacular. Like it hits like all of these points that it needs to, and nothing lasts longer than it needs to.
Right.
In a way, and this is the way that I think it should be. It leaves you wanting more. Exactly. The Raid is the same way. I watched that again recently. There are like, I'm still putting this together. I may actually have to start writing this down as far as what I would sort of call some of the like essential. This is kind of like look to the raid as far as like things that you need to do for action. You know, look for this for character work. And
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean?
Arcane.
I think there's
look to Arcane for character work.
Look to Arcane for character work. I mean, it's a modern example of that. I think even like God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. There's a game called Soma that's really good if you're looking for like a really interesting. Because I guess we're gonna get into Suicide Squad. Yeah, but there are examples out there that's like we need to find ways to add in these these details. Like we're not gonna take their whole idea, but like, oh, okay, the idea of like what does it really mean to be human is like a big thing in Soma. Because you're like the idea is that like your memory is getting like implanted in all of these different machines throughout the game, and it's like, okay, so like if you're alive or you believe that you're alive because your memory is in one and then it's in another, and then like you decide to like shut off the other creature even though like it is you, and like I guess you would call that what like the existential idea of,
yes,
you know. And so there's some really interesting stuff you can do with that, and like you can do those things and not have to go like full tilt into it, and the same way with like, or you know, the direction that God of War decided to go with, like in some ways like what is fatherhood, you know, the struggles of fatherhood, the joys of it, and also having this really awesome story surrounding the Norse mythology. There's all these sorts of things you can do from that realm. And again, it's like it's not too much different from the direction you're trying to go with making. And I need to be clear about this because there's this idea out there that when I say that the story sucks, or when you say that, or name the person who's like, yeah, you know, to be honest, this movie wasn't very good, the story's bad. That it's supposed to be like award winning. First of all, we don't care about awards. Like I could care less. I don't care. Like, do I think that Godzilla -1 needs to be celebrated at the Oscars? Yes. Will it be? Probably not. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because Godzilla -1 is the best movie that came out last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like it doesn't matter who wins the award. I don't care who wins the
But
award
who
at the Oscars.
makes a movie for it to not be good? Right, is essentially what you're saying, right?
I think
awards,
so.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's yeah. Why now?
Enjoyable.
The Oscars and that kind of criteria, I think is kind of dumb because there's a lot of like politics, and I don't mean
involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of like in Hollywood politics that goes on in that, and like having to meet certain criteria. Like there's literally something called Oscar bait because of all of that, and it's something that I'm not trying to change everyone's mind about this stuff, and it's actually something Jake and I talked about yesterday. For some reason, he didn't know this. That's why, like, when I talk about my grading scale, first of all, I typically don't like to give numbers if I don't have to, but people will ask, or like sometimes I'll be like, you know, probably around here, and I say it's ridiculous that we have a grading scale where 7 to 10 basically means you did good, and everything after that is failing.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It makes no sense.
We kind of, would you say that we view a passing grade, for example, as anything that's above a 5?
A 5, because like I will say a 5 is average.
Yep.
That's
how I view it. As well.
Yeah. If we're getting into 4 territory, you made something that has made enough mistakes that I think it's bad.
Yep. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I do think we need to wrap up the Argylle commentary on the movie.
Yes.
What's your rating for Argylle?
It's probably a 4.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, unfortunately. So, it ranked higher than Fast X for me.
Well, and this is the thing, is that
Glass Onion.
Yeah, I think it's better than Glass Onion. I probably put Fast X. I probably say Fast X probably falls into a 4 as well. It's just you get down into, for me, and
Fast X is like a 3.
Hang on. Well, we see, and this is the thing, is like once we get down into that territory, like I have to figure out. This is why I don't like doing numbers. I have to figure out why would I give, and this is maybe where the details of it come in. That is where like, okay, what are the like? Are there enough like positive aspects in something like Argylle versus something like Fast X that place that in place Fast X in a 3 versus Argylle in a 4, and like and being able to get into that, and I just don't want to take the time to do that.
Yeah.
not with stuff that's like really not that important to me. You know what I mean?
Well,
but you typically, I think 4 is where you're like, this movie could be average, but you do enough stupid things, and I think you make enough mistakes that 4 is where you belong. Because Argylle could there's a lot of things that if they had left out or changed, you could get there. Because it's still not. I mean, like something like Silent Night is like a 2 or a 1 for me. Like I couldn't even finish it. It's borderline unwatchable because
it's
like,
why did this movie get made?
Yeah, it's way down there.
How many people did this get by? That Silent Night is one of those movies, kind of like a lot of the Marvel movies, where I look at and think, imagine, and Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, where I'm like, imagine all the executives and writers and people involved in the process that greenlit this and gave their stamp of approval, and no one said, hold up.
Well,
this is a bad idea.
So if the rumor is true about, well, I don't know about Fast X, but like if the rumor is true about Argylle, Matthew Vaughn presented the idea, I guess, as a package for Apple, and they bought it from him. So like he's good. You know what I mean? Like yep. I don't know how close I hope he doesn't use this writer again. In fact, what I really hope is that he finds a couple Mark Millar books that he wants to adapt, and does some of his stuff. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I mean, you had mentioned Halo to me, so I did add it to the list, and it is in our thumbnail. Yeah,
we can talk about it real fast.
That's soon, right? That's 3 days away, 8th. Right?
Thursday.
Am I going to have to painstakingly watch an episode every week, or is this coming out in a package?
Oh, I think it's episode by episode.
Okay. Yep. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, but I do have good news for you regarding Halo.
Is it like 2 episodes?
No, they got a new showrunner. I didn't realize that till the other day, or maybe I did realize and I forgot. But I'm trying to pull up.
Maybe Quan will like die in the first episode, and Master Chief in the first episode will go, I really should stop taking my helmet off for safety reasons, and he puts it back on and he leaves it on for the rest of the season, and then we end up with like a 4 or 5.
Yeah, so it's David Weiner, and he is best known.
Sorry,
he's best known for Fear the Walking Dead series.
Oh,
he did Flesh and Bone TV miniseries.
Okay,
and let's see, Brave New World, Homecoming, Strange Angel, Fear the Walking Dead, like I just said, and yeah, that's pretty. The Last Resort, if that rings any bells for anyone. Yeah. So, but
okay.
he did 9 episodes of Brave New World. He only did like a couple for Fear the Walking Dead.
Isn't Brave New World that Star Trek series?
Is it?
That's what it sounds like. I think there's a Star Trek series called Brave New World. Maybe not. I'm not up to date on a lot of like
TV series.
That kind of TV, yeah. It's not my cup of tea, so it's.
No.
Well,
so we'll see if he can right the ship, but I am not expecting it. Are you, David?
No, not at all. I am expecting this to be very bad as well. Now,
is it going to be better or worse than season 1?
I'll say this. I'll throw my hat in the ring that it might actually be a little bit better than season 1. Do I want it to be worse? Absolutely. Like that's way more entertaining for us. But I'll say like they are trying to do like Fall of Reach stuff, so they at least have the advantage of the source material being interesting for what they're trying to adapt. Whereas season now, if they just go off on like a wild direction with this, and I don't think the death of any of the Spartans or really any of the characters in it are going to emotionally impact me.
Yeah, or anyone.
Yeah.
Now, do you think we're going to get more Master Cheeks?
Oh, I hope so, bro.
Okay.
Every episode.
Are we going to get
an episode?
Once an episode?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
We
Are we
riot
gonna get
otherwise.
are we gonna get a baby Master Chief too?
Oh, please. Yes, please. Oh, I want them to dig so hard into like the insanity of all of that. Like it might actually put the show a little higher for me if they just like dig deeper into it. Like, oh, what's her face is like
We're gonna
pregnant
show them.
now.
We're gonna screw
I'm
this all
pregnant,
up.
Master Chief, and like he had now and she because she's like part alien or whatever she is, she has the baby like way faster, and so she ends up having the baby during the season, or like maybe it's the whole Fall of Reach thing happens over a longer period of time, so she has the baby and then she dies by the end of the season, and so it's like mini
No, the
Master
Fall of
Chief.
Reach happens over the baby.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. And then, he has to take his new baby. I would say boy, but we all know it would be a girl. And then they have to together now go to Halo.
Dude, I'm gonna clip this out for social media. I'm gonna tag
Please.
CBS in it and say, "Hey, we're
Hire
available for
me.
hire."
Hire me. CVS. I'll give you my number. Let's do it. Dude, yeah.
Let's just get into it.
Bro, you know what's so funny is like I if I was of that nature and found my way into like the gaming industry or like Hollywood, I I could troll fan bases like so easily. You know how like the whole thing with like these companies is like, oh, fans are stupid and we hate the people who like love the thing that we're adapting. Like I could dig into that so easily and just make the most bonkers television ever.
That would be successful because of how stupid it is.
That people are just like, what's happening? Because they're doing stuff that like
This has to be intentional.
so take the whole Halo thing, like the Master Cheeks thing, him sleeping with the enemy, and then you're like, oh well, what if he had a baby? So then like what you do is that it's just like you continue to compound that into insanely wild television. And for me, especially if I was like in the writer's room or I had like say in it, I'd be like, well, we're not getting another season, so let's just do something nuts. Like, let's go full on just out there with what we're doing. I think that's the way that you go.
The first episode pans,
Yeah.
and you see the moon on Halo, and then it pans to Master Cheeks.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he's standing outside. He actually has his helmet on, but nothing else, and he's standing.
Yeah.
He's standing there, and so it's just full moon, and he's got his arms like by his side or whatever. Maybe he's like, oh, or he's got like a rifle like over his shoulder, and he's like, the fresh breeze. I don't know, man. At this point, it's like things have gone so down the toilet in so many of these franchises that I would almost prefer like insane parody to like what they're giving us. It's just this boring garbage.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Season
bored, dude.
2
I'm
of Rings of
bored.
Power, we get Baby Sauron.
Yeah, I'm bored, dude. I mean, and we can get into it with like Kill the Justice League or whatever, but I'm bored. The whole like evil Superman thing is so played out. I'm sick. I am unbelievable. I'm sick of that. I think more than I am of Batman is Dead, which is still annoying and it still sucks. And then the whole like, there's like a whole thing with like toxic masculinity and Wonder Woman. It's like come, please stop. Like, I'm tired of attempting
That
to
toxic
have
masculinity that saved so many people in Gotham.
yeah.
As far as
Oh yeah. She did a great job, didn't she, dude? That oh my god, the contrivance.
Hey David. They went in. The sweet baby went in. They said, hey, injustice. But what if the Suicide Squad did that, but actually killed them?
Yeah.
And better yet, you piss on them, urinate on them, but even worse than that, you lecture about social justice right before they die.
Yeah. And then
With a character
hey,
that murdered and abused people.
Jenna saying that they're clones. Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
Did it come
came
out?
today that-
Cool. So yeah, congratulations on rewriting your concept because you don't even have the sack to just stick by it. It's like this is that thing that we've talked about in the past where it's just people hiding their hands, where they throw punches and then when they get pushback like that, they're like, "What? Wait, no, hold on," and then like. Because dude, it's not.
You didn't really kill the Justice League. It's
Yeah.
a clone. And on World 12, they're actually alive. And then that's going to be after you defeat the same Brainiac. I mean, Flash.
Oh, that's the
11
TikTok
times in a row.
defense that they're clones. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's not surprising. You
Okay.
know, that's a. But I
did
dude,
see
I wouldn't be
earlier
surprised.
someone say that they were alive, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't looked into it.
I've when
to
people
confirm.
are like, so it's really funny because Mahler did us a favor and actually played through it because he's like, people were like, well, you haven't played it, and he goes, you know what, you're right, I haven't. So he played through it, and he's like, no, it sucks. He's like, the story's stupid, it's contrived. And sorry, go ahead.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
But if I watch people play it,
yeah,
and I watch them play a significant amount of time, right?
This is an interesting question. Yeah.
Why does it matter if I personally play it? If I'm like, oh yeah, that I'm so glad I didn't spend my money on that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that
What's
is.
the
I
difference?
think it's completely valid. I
can watch somebody play Madden. I don't need to play Madden before.
You might be now. Here's the thing. Because say I do that. Say I'm playing like God of War Ragnarok. Someone sees me playing it and they go, "This looks like trash," and then I'm like, "Well, it's not. It's a really great story. Good gameplay. Mechanics are solid. Like there's a few things here and there that I think could probably be better mechanically, but whatever. But if you're really into I think the story alone is like something that makes this worth playing, and the mechanics help that along because they're solid. Like you're not gonna be bored playing the game,
right?
And going through the fights, it's challenging. Whole deal, right? Like that's just a quick overview, and it's the one that's the easiest one for me to defend because I stand by those games, and that's fine because they may not play it or not, but the thing is that like the people that I trust the most when it comes to this kind of stuff, and who have in some ways helped me like be able to frame, especially from a story perspective, like wow, it's real dumb how any of this happened, and I know Jenna has played it. It seems like it's like, well, how did the Justice League get here or to get to this point? It's like, oh well, they like just got captured by Brainiac and he turned them or whatever. And you're like, that's it? Is that easy? And then not on top of that, but despite
we got
that,
the Humpty Dumpty Suicide Squad that can take him down.
There is no logical writing solution to why Superman, Brainiac, Green Lantern, Flash, and Batman would not have been like, oh, Harley and her idiots are here, like we need to kill them, and they would have been dead. Like all of a sudden, because they got brainwashed, they're not working as a team anymore. Like that's not a thing. They're all like individual idiots. Oh, and I know that Flash gets taken later, but it doesn't really. And not only that, but because I think Green Lantern gets taken out first. But regardless, the first one of them that got taken out, they all would have been swarming on those guys. They would have been dead instantly. Yeah. And there's like I don't understand how, like, because it's supposed to be, I guess, a gameplay mechanic, right? That Harley Quinn is able to survive Superman's heat vision.
Yeah.
She's not just like dead instantly from any of the things that he can do. She's a human being.
Let's make it better. This is set within the Arkham universe, right? And in every single game, doesn't Batman essentially one punch her? Like in the cutscenes and stuff like that. I mean,
dude, freaking I know now. Oh yeah. She's just I was watching Mahler play some Arkham today, and
she does like 4
I missed that
backflips, and he just
he basically
and tosses
her. He just pushes her over basically. Yeah. And she's not a threat. She is not a threat, and I don't know why she had to. I'm bored of her. I'm bored of what she symbolizes for the activist class in writing circles, because she's not interesting.
No, and she hasn't had any success outside of Margot Robbie playing her and really putting the character on the map. But that was in Suicide Squad. And then when they tried to do Birds of Prey, it fell just because she's not.
Oh, dude, Birds of Prey
that interesting,
so boring
of a character.
Yeah, I fell asleep, dear. I got about halfway through that movie and then
she's
fell
fine
asleep.
as a side character, I mean,
well, yeah, that's the thing is like when she's playing like her kind of femme fatale, um, you know, Joker's like kind of side piece that he doesn't really respect
That
all
he's
that much.
using. Yeah.
She's literally kind of a joke character. She wasn't ever really meant to take on the role of like a anti-hero, and she's still not. She sucks. And like I've heard from a few people, I can't remember for certain, but she does some pretty like heinous stuff in the Arkham games with Joker. And she's never accounted, like she's accounted for the abuse suffered from Joker, but never the things that she's done to other people.
Yep.
It's pathetic.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. She gave that lecture to Batman.
Oh,
It's like,
right.
Oh,
Oh, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Before she,
let's get
yeah.
this lecture on social justice from this person who murdered and abused people and caused trauma.
Oh, Harley murders a kid and tortures another one.
Yeah,
That's what it was. Okay.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
man.
talking
So,
about.
yeah, I've
It doesn't
seen,
make any sense.
and this is the thing is like I am not. I have no interest in arguing with people who like this game. Like you spent the money, you can justify it to me all that you want. I really don't care. It's like this.
Yeah.
It looks bad. The whole live service thing seems like it's a bad direction to go. Like the industry needs to move away from it.
Well,
And the
speaking of which, I
gameplay looks
completely
boring.
agree.
It looks boring. It just generic, boring combat. Like there's nothing. Like think about the Arkham games, Joseph, and like the way that they really took the time to be like, we want to make you feel like you're actually Batman to the best that we can, and they do. But between those three games, like no matter how you kind of feel about Arkham Knight, and some of the decisions they made in that, those games play and you feel like Batman in those games. In Suicide Squad, it's like they're just shooting people. Like
Yeah, exactly. To your point, I mean, when you think about the gameplay in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it's uninspired. You know, Rocksteady changed the landscape when it came to superhero games and how the mechanics played out and the move sets and everything. And what made them so great in the Arkham series was how they injected Batman's personality into his moveset. And when you juxtapose that to the Suicide Squad, all four of them play the exact same. I mean, basically, the only difference is how they travel. That's it.
Yeah,
there's no build customization. Basically, there's no personality in the combat system. Not only for their move set, but also for certain weapons as well. Outside of, again, as I said, how they travel, they all just play the same. There's no special abilities for the characters. The characters seem just more similar in how they play versus different.
yeah,
So what's the point? And even that gameplay wise, whatever. I mean, I think I counted 7 different times to where essentially you just it was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there to where you essentially just protect a car like that's going down a road. That's it.
Oh,
so that's going down a path.
Wooba made a good
Go ahead.
point though. He says, "Yeah, my coworker said the 4 could have been like range, melee, tank, Domaman? I don't know what he
Demo
meant.
man.
Demo Man. Oh, sorry, Domaman. Instead, they're all range shooter characters. Yeah, it's generic. And let us please talk about the voice acting in it because it is infuriatingly bad. Like, I think I would rather have someone put needles in my ears. Because Captain Boomerang, is so annoying. I mean, they all are, right? Like it's all
Actually, when this game released, David, I don't know if you heard this, but they made the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay play this during
That's funny.
to get information out of them. So as soon as they got 10 minutes in, they gave up everything.
Whoopa's saying that Gotham Knight VA was pretty rough too. I'd have to go back and play it, Whoopa. I don't honestly remember a whole lot about it at this point. But yeah, it's not this bad
in this game.
Yeah, I would say it's
How it
not
seems like a single story. I hate deception in this game because it starts out like you're playing a single story player campaign.
Yeah,
right?
a single player
and
game.
then
Sure.
it halfway through live service.
Yeah, and then like you have to play the game online.
Live service.
Apparently they're going to patch in so that you don't have to do that, which is like, okay, first of all, why wasn't they're not doing
Your
that?
game No. You're right. No. I'm just saying.
Oh.
I'm not giving them money. I don't give a crap.
Oh no, I
You
wouldn't
could redo it.
No, I this game could be $5 and I wouldn't touch it at this point. there's way more interesting stuff coming out this year. And Jake and I have been having a discussion recently on the game side of things, just about like how boring a lot of the like mainstream stuff that's coming out is.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of and he is not a huge fan of the design for the Arkham games, like just the like graphically, I guess is the best way to put it, because I think there's some interesting stuff with the way that they make those. And Jake, I'm sorry, I don't want to take your argument out of context. But I kind of get what he means, because it's very similar to like a lot of other things that were coming out at the time. And what I think he's looking for is stuff that's a little more stylized.
Yes. Yep,
take like it, so for instance, like if they were going to remake like Arkham games, or someone was going to make games in that same vein, instead of it trying to go for like a hyper realistic look, go for something that's way more stylized. And that's something that like indie developers tend to understand pretty well. Like there seems to be a lot more care and love that goes into those kinds of games a lot of the time. Not always. But you can find a lot of really unique styles, even if it's, this is basically a Metroid game, but they're doing something really stylistic that makes it interesting, and maybe they have a story in there that's worth checking out too.
Right.
But yeah, man, I think the voice acting in this, it's not just the voice acting, it's the way that it's utilized as well. Nobody ever shuts up. I watched the Superman.
It's overhanded.
Yeah, I watched the Superman fight the other day, and Superman won't shut up. He throughout that fight, constantly talking, constantly quipping, constantly having to say things, and it's just like, y'all, this is not. That was like a thing for a while where.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it was a thing for a while where it was like characters just like wouldn't shut up, because I guess the people making the games were like, well, we can't have quiet. Like we can't have downtime where like a character just isn't talking, and like if you're roaming around, they have to have a comment about every single thing that they're seeing. And it's funny because that writing has made its way into Marvel and a lot of this other stuff where it's like, hey, isn't that weird? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah. And to your point, it fails to mold the story around the characters to give them room to develop and breathe, which is what would happen if it was a single player storyline. And it just molds it around a live service game. And I think that's why it's just a constant quip off, and to where, they're trying to be edgy, have edgy shock jock humor at every single moment. And it just comes across as just a poor attempt.
Yeah.
And to where you're rolling your eyes, getting annoyed. And it's who asked for this? Who thought this was a good idea? Hey, we want to play as a Suicide Squad. That's exactly what people want to do, and we want to kill the Justice League. And again, it's not necessarily a bad concept in the sense. I know I just said that, but I mean in the sense of in comparing it to, you're in the Arkham City, or universe.
Yeah.
You're in the Arkham universe. Who thinks it's a good idea to play as a Suicide Squad to kill the Justice League in that universe versus just creating something separate and even keeping in that mechanism, or doing the reverse of it, to where you play as the Justice League and they're evil, and you kill the Suicide Squad. Or
and it's not, for me too, dude, it's not even keeping in the spirit of like the Suicide Squad in general. Was kind of one of it's funny, but like this is one of the things I had a problem with the Expendables when those movies were coming out. It's like this team's called the Expendables, but nobody's ever dying.
Yeah.
Please,
that's
just
the same thing with the Suicide
Squad. Kill Captain Boomerang.
Or Harley Quinn.
But again,
or Deadshot.
Well, they won't kill. They won't kill. There are 4 people on that team, and one of those people has a way higher chance of being killed than the other 3. Yeah. And it's definitely Captain Boomerang. But let's see. I was looking at. Let's see here. Woopa was saying that Lethal Company is still 2023 Game of the Year, which I tend to agree with him on. It's just like a fun, dumb multiplayer game with really like low res graphics, but hours of entertainment. Jake was also saying that he's just tired of seeing everything in Unreal Engine. Like it's just getting boring, and I think that's kind of what he meant. Let's see. Zoran Zero's in the troll room. How's it going? The game reminds
Hey, how's it
me
going?
too much of. Let's see. Oh, the game that reminds me of too much talking is Hogwarts Legacy, where the fast travel lady. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, that was bad in Hogwarts Legacy. Everybody's constantly talking in that game too. It's
I
really
may
annoying.
actually buy that game.
Um,
I saw it was on sale.
yeah, it's not too bad. I would probably recommend playing it on an easier difficulty and then just like mainlining it for the most part. Do like
Okay.
a few side quests that seem interesting because it wore on me pretty hard by the time I finished it because I was trying real hard to like play a lot of it and do like all of the little and yeah, you get what is it, Avada Kedavra, and you're good. It breaks the game honestly, but it's fun because you literally just insta shot everyone.
So it's just like the movies.
Yeah, pretty much. It's what if the movies actually had some more like logic to them. It's like, well, everyone would use that spell because it being an unforgivable curse without any repercussion. It's like Avada Kedavra is basically a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everything
Oh,
else,
yeah.
though allegedly, like
It's like the nuclear option.
you have other spells that like catch people. Like catching wizard on fire and burning to death, fine. Using a spell that instantly kills them, not okay. It's so funny. So many people that I run across that like love Harry Potter. It's so funny. I'm so blunt with people these days where they'll ask me sometimes about this stuff because I don't typically tell people that we have this podcast, like just people if I work with them or like it's like random people I meet, because it's one of those things that's like I don't really want to get into it. It's like
Yeah.
you're not gonna have a good time, But it comes across with the Harry Potter stuff too sometimes, where I'm just like I'm not gonna talk about Harry Potter with you, like it's just not gonna happen.
It's
I
kind of
actually,
like
sorry, go ahead.
with my keeper yesterday. She was like, "How'd you like Argyle?" And I was like, I didn't think it was that good." She said, "I'm not surprised. I didn't think you would." Like, what's that supposed to mean? She's like, "I don't want to get into it."
Yeah, I ran across. I was at. So we have a deal set up with one of the local hospitals where we go and sell. We have like a little stand where we sell food over there.
Yeah.
And I in the mornings it's pretty slow and I have time to read. So I've been reading through very slowly. I've been reading through Two Towers. And
Oh yeah.
somebody came up and was like kind of asking, "Oh, what are you reading?" And I was like, "Oh, Lord of the Rings." And they're like, "Oh, I've never read that." And they were like, "Oh, are you like into Harry Potter?" And I was like, I looked at her, I was like, kinda. I was like, and when it comes across sometimes, and maybe people think I'm weird for it, but I'm like, I've read Harry Potter,
Yeah.
It's like it's just, it was something I was into at one point in my life, maybe not so much anymore.
It fits the trope of a children's book. Like,
Yeah, it's oversimplified. There's a lot of, but the thing is, and here's the thing, and this is something I have to kind of continue to beat the drum to, is that like we can't keep doing this thing where we downplay like kids because it's a
I
kids
agree.
movie. You know what I mean?
that's why I said it fits the trope.
It does
of-
fit. Yeah, fair enough. Because you're right, it does. It's like kind of dumb in a lot of places, and the logic doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's fantasy and magic and fun.
It's not. Yeah,
And-
it's not a kids movie in the sense of a good one in the sense of the
Right.
Last Wish. That is
Right.
excellent.
There's definitely better stuff out there as far as like, but Harry Potter's not the worst thing. Like
No,
I'm not, I think though that people that like elevate that as to like peak fiction, it's just kind of like
no.
cool. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Um.
As far as Kill the Justice League is concerned, but getting on back.
Yeah, you're
back
good.
there. I did like the horror elements with Batman, and I think the
Yeah, but
concept is cool. This idea of the Justice League turn evil, but it's just if you wanted to, in a sense, I can't fully remember Injustice, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I think if you got a chance to play as the Justice League with them being evil, which I know you do in Injustice, but in the sense to where you get to kill the Suicide Squad, you're going after all these people, and something to that extent maybe it would be better. But I just think this idea of using the Suicide Squad playing as the villains and doing that just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't work.
No,
Maybe in a
there's not
different
any
game that would
effort. There
work.
wasn't any effort put into it to make it believable.
No.
That's
forgot to.
borderline. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, making it believable, and then
Yeah.
also we forgot about Harley Quinn's sexual assault of Deadshot in the game too.
Oh yeah, and her flirtation with like a 10-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
Poison Ivy. Oh, she says some weird. It's weird, dude. But I'm the hero. It's like
That's Sweet Baby
okay.
Ink for you though.
Bruh. I mean, listen. Don't let Rocksteady get spared the rod, if you will, because of Sweet Baby Inc. I mean, like,
Well, the main creators left. All the good people behind Rocksteady left. This isn't the same Rocksteady that made Arkham. So,
agreed. Yeah. And I don't. As far as I'm concerned, it's not canon with the rest of the Arkham games. They're on my list to replay them, so that may end up happening sometime this year.
I just don't even see how, like, you come in and you think about the games and you just don't add personality. Like, even on the game metrics wise, to make Harley Quinn's moveset unique, to make Deadshot's moveset unique, to make the Shark's, I forget his name, but Sharkman, his moveset unique. And then
King Shark.
King Shark, that's it. And then Boomer, his skill set unique.
Yeah. And it sucks, dude, because, like, King Shark is great in Suicide Squad.
Yep.
The movie.
It's not like there's not potential here. There was potential here for this to be a fine game.
Yeah. They were just like it's one of those things that's like, wouldn't it be funny if the big shark is stupid?
Yeah.
But he's
Wouldn't
not.
it be funny if the Flash got killed and then someone peed on him? That's kind of how it went. And then it's like, wouldn't it be funny if...
Yeah, what if we literally, like, took a piss on your heroes,
And then somebody makes a joke about a penis.
Oh, yeah. Harley does. There you go.
Of course.
Yeah, put it on the board for her, Yeah. Yeah, man.
Imitates life. Well, sitting at a lovely 63 on Metascore from the critics, and
seems high.
A 3.9 for the user score.
Yeah, that seems about more accurate from what I can tell. And I don't know, man. Like, I don't graphically, I don't think it looks that great. I mean, and graphics are one of those things that, like, every AAA game has, like, really good graphics now. Like, you're not winning someone over necessarily because your game looks good.
Well, you have to offer more than that. You can't win over people for a movie or TV show just because it looks good.
Agreed. There's a lot of stuff
that's great. I mean, like, yes, definitely make it look good, but there's more to it. You can forgive more if the story element is great and the gameplay element is great, right?
Dude, the best, like, one of the best games of last year looks like someone smeared a dirty diaper on your screen while you're playing it. Like, that's kind of what Lethal Company looks like. But and no one is saying, like, oh,
the graphics suck.
Yeah, the graphics suck
because the graphics suck.
Because it's a ton of fun. Like, at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's like the gameplay is king of that. But that does not mean that you get to just, like, cheap out on a lot of the other stuff that you're doing. And like, you just get to disrespect story writing, essentially. Because it's like, oh, but it's a game. Like, story doesn't have to be good. It's like, come on. There's plenty. Yeah. I mean, D&D, man, it's literally a game, but also story is heavily involved in that. Yeah.
Zorant World 0, by the way, said in the troll room, it sucks how Harley was such a great addition to Batman Animated.
Yeah.
But because of recent trends, she's just become a quirky, multicolored hair girl who is just random. And I completely agree with that. In the animated,
quirky and
in the animated she was great, but now it's just too overplayed.
Yeah. He says, do you guys think that games, movies, media in general benefit from the halo effect, like good-looking people in real life? Yeah, I mean, it does. Yeah, people are willing to forgive a lot, I think, in games if it looks really good. That's not always the case. There was a game that came out. The Order 1886 or 8. You know what I'm talking about, Joseph? It was like at the time, I think it was like an early PS4 game. Give me 1 second. The Order 1886 game. I don't think it's 1886, but I was right. 1886. Wow, good memory. When the Order came out, it was very, very good looking and not very good gameplay wise. It was fine, but again, something that I've always done, especially when I attempt to, I'll say review, but when I'm really trying to be a little more critical of a game, I'll pump it up to like a higher difficulty because I want to see how the mechanics hold up in that. Now, there's some games I won't do that, like Devil May Cry. I'm not going to do that because you have to be really good to beat those games on higher difficulties, and I'm not that good of a gamer.
You'll get there to my level eventually.
Oh, and Jay was saying it had a good story. Yeah, it was the Order had an interesting story that I wish a sequel got the chance to improve on, but we're never going to get it. So unfortunately, it is what it is.
Probably better that we don't.
But the Order, IGN gave it a 6.5. So it actually, I mean, on our scale, it's like slightly above average. But I'd probably put it more in the average category. Really good looking, super generic gameplay, and the story was interesting. But at the time, like, it was getting panned pretty hard as like it was just the biggest piece of trash. But it's so funny, man, because I think there are probably some old games out there that had that happen to them that if you look back to where we're at now with certain things, you're like, dang, it's like maybe we were a little too harsh.
Yeah,
like it
right?
it's actually gotten worse. But yeah,
happening over time.
I would say yes. I do think that if a game looks really good, sometimes people just get rose-colored glasses with combat. I think a lot of people play things on way easier difficulties than they'll admit to a lot of the time. And I'm pretty honest about that. Like if I'm playing, sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to play this on hard. I was like, I just want to enjoy the experience and kind of like get my memory back for how I kind of feel about the game. I'm not too worried about digging into like the combat systems or how they work on harder difficulties. It just depends. Anyway, yeah. So I think that this game's gonna get forgotten, dude. Like no, it seems like it's that's funny. We had talked about this because I looked it up right before we started, but I typed in "Kill the Justice League" into Google because out of curiosity, I was like, let's look at the news. Forbes was the first one that came up, and it says "Kill the Justice League." Metascore, Steam player count are worryingly low. Dextero, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League already on sale with nearly 20% off. It's on Green Man Gaming. I don't know if that really counts. You got Polygon, which Polygon kind of sucks, but Kill the Justice League should have been more fun. Eurogamer, Kill the Justice League review, an idea destined to fail. So it's one of those things that's like, okay, yeah, the major outlets. Okay, we got to look at what Kotaku said, and then we can close this episode out. Because
Okay. Well, I got one more thing to tell you.
Go ahead. I'm looking at it. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's not in relation to the Suicide
Oh,
Squad. So
you're good. Keep going.
Well, okay.
And I'll tell
interject
you.
then. Well, I have some bad news.
Oh no.
Amazon is not going to be releasing, as of right now, there's still time.
Oh
But
no.
according to Variety, they're not going to be releasing a trailer or anything for the Super Bowl. Now, there's still some time to get in there, right, for the Super Bowl, but to the main slot. But yeah, they're not, and they're not the only ones. Netflix isn't supposedly putting anything out either during the Super Bowl, and then Warner Brothers may not be out as well. So that kind of probably means more than likely
Rip.
that Rings of Power is not going to be coming out this year.
Well, that sucks.
But there's still time for us to be wrong, and I hope it does because I want it to come out as soon as possible.
Agreed. Kotaku doesn't give scores, but they said this is the line that I'll read. This is the last paragraph of the review. It says Suicide Squad is a poster child for the kind of games that live between great and awful, which is like that is such like a fence sitting statement. It says, while that might be enough for some, and again, this is just them. I can't imagine. It might be enough for some. I can't imagine the devs. And it's so funny that they do this. I can't imagine the devs who worked hard on Suicide Squad wanted it all to end with what amounts to a shrug emoji. Yet here we are. At least the shotguns are cool. So it's like, you basically, none of the major outlets seem to be on the side of this thing. And, typically I disagree with them. I mean, they are wrong quite often. But they might be headed in the right direction this time,
Yeah.
The clock, a broken clock's right twice a day, right? So
Right, exactly.
I guess they're going to get DLC characters too. Sorry. Now I'm just sitting here looking at this stuff like we're not on a show.
No, you're fine.
It looks like Joker is going to be a playable character. Dude, you know what else is going to be really interesting? So if they're releasing extra characters, how much are they going to cost? Because that is bad news for them if they're expensive. And it looks like Mrs. Freeze, a version of Mr. Freeze with the alias Victoria Freeze. Oh, gosh, dude. DOA. DOA. I'm calling it DOA.
Yep.
And on that bombshell, we will see you guys next week for another episode. I don't know what Halo. We'll be talking about Halo next week.
Talking about Halo.
We'll talk about Halo next week.
No, I do think it'll be better. Hopefully it'll be great. So Halo next week.
Yeah.
Be there.
It says the Joker will be free. Okay. Well, good on them, I guess.
They can make the game free, and I still wouldn't play it.
I know. That's the correct decision, though. That's the correct decision, is that it's free. And if you have... yeah, we'll see what happens. I am kind of curious to see where this thing will be in another week or so. No one will be talking about it. We'll have moved on to whatever the next thing is. But yeah, thank you all so much. Whether you're in the troll room, whether you're listening to this later on, hopefully a Podcasting 2.0 app. We're really thankful for all of y'all, for everybody that downloads, for everybody that shows up for the live show. And until next time, y'all take it easy.
See ya.